Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Wendy, and this is Let's Talk About Love. It's been longer than I wanted to record a video. I had a terrible weekend. I got some health news on Friday. It won't kill me, but it's disturbing and will affect me for the rest of my life. And it's okay. I'll handle it. I always do. But in getting that news, I needed my best friend. And I went over there to visit, and me and her boyfriend were talking, and she had a heart attack right in front of us. And so she is with us still. She's okay. But you know, she had died for a while right there in front of me. And you know, I've gone through a lot of loss and stuff like that. So, you know, I do okay in these situations, but it's still very difficult. It's still a lot to process. So I had a double whammy on Friday, and I needed to recover. I also injured my leg. We had to start throwing furniture around and stuff like that to get her on the ground to administer CPR and wait for EMS to come and take over. And they were able to bring her back. So she's okay. I'm okay. Everybody's okay. But I am getting my videos out later because I had some processing and recovering to do, and my leg is still doing kind of bad, but that'll be okay as well. So it'll heal and it'll be fine. But I'm finally back, and that's going to lead to today's video, trauma bonding. So trauma bonding can be very, very tricky. If you, like me, have experienced childhood trauma and abuse and things like that, then you understand trauma bonding already because you've already trauma bonded with your abusers. If you have siblings and things like that that experienced it with you, then you have trauma bonds with them. You know, I now also have a trauma bond with my best friend here in my state and her boyfriend. And, you know, there's a lot of facets to trauma bonding. You know, me and her have a very healthy relationship, a great friendship. And so the trauma bonding that we just went through is something that just occurs in a relationship that just solidifies that relationship more and makes it stronger. You know, obviously the trauma bonding from childhood is something that, you know, I've been working hard on healing and releasing, you know, trauma bonds. Now, my family that is still with us, you know, I get along with great, and those trauma bonds are just something that kind of came with the situation. But we get along, you know, fantastic. But nonetheless, there is trauma bonding there. And then there's trauma bonding that is just going to create more trauma for you. And that's where you get into relationships that one person has intention to hurt the other. And when they have the intention to have conflict in a relationship in order to create a trauma bond, it's almost holding you captive. It's almost like kidnapping you. If you allow this to occur, it's, you know, if there's abuse in any shape or form, and then it becomes something like, oh, but we've been through so much together, you know, that's trauma bonding, and it really will hold you back. It'll hold you both back because trauma bonding in that way, you know, you really can't move forward, and usually someone has had to move backwards to meet the level of somebody that's not moving forward as quickly, and you get stuck, you know. So you know, just trauma bonding came up to me because of, you know, what happened Friday, and thinking about all the different relationships in my life that I've had that the trauma bonding has occurred. You know, most of them healthy friendships and relationships in which you've lost people together, have gone through things together, whether they're, you know, violent or any kind of trauma associated. You know, that's a different type of trauma bonding. You know, you want to be careful of the trauma bonding that is created on purpose. You know, people that have malicious intent, you know, that forge connections and bonds through creating trauma through some form of abuse or, just unacceptable behavior. And that's just something to look at in your healing journey, is if you have trauma bonds, um, are they still healthy to keep? Do you have trauma bonds with people that are helping you to grow? Reinforcing your connection and how close you are, or is it leading down a path that's going to create more trauma? And those are things that I'm looking at as I'm in my healing process, is what kind of trauma bonds do I have? And what kind of trauma bonds will I accept? I have had people try to um, trauma bond with me through abusive behavior, and I won't do that. I won't trauma bond with people out of, there's no foundation at that point. That becomes your foundation. That kind of trauma bond, that negative, unhealed type of relationship that holds you captive, and doesn't allow you to grow. And so that's what I was thinking about today, was all the people that I have trauma bonds with, and whether that's effective in my life in a good way, or is it holding me back. And I'm proud of myself for not allowing some trauma bonds to occur when I thought I've had connections with people, and it ended up not being a cohesive or even balanced playing ground where you both are coming in with mutual good intent to grow something, to have a real connection. You'll find that some people will literally have the intent to connect with you, literally to trauma bond. And like I said, that's almost like kidnapping somebody. That's like holding them hostage. And I don't think that that's healthy for us to do, for us to allow ourselves to be a part of. So, that was my thoughts today, because I had just trauma bonded with my best friend and her boyfriend. And I started thinking about all the different relationships with the trauma bonds that I've had in my life, how they occurred, and which relationships and friendships that I've kept, and it's just something that I thought I would throw out there, because I think a lot of people that I know are kind of in trauma bond relationships or friendships that are just not allowing them to grow, not allowing them to move forward. And I think that, that was just what was heavy on my mind today. And again, I'm thinking faster than I can speak. I don't know if I've made my point, but these were my thoughts today. And it was a heavy one for me because of Friday's events. And I hope it helps you. I hope that these thoughts might resonate with you somehow if you're in any similar situations. So, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for coming back, and thank you for giving me grace for my absence. I have a little bit going on. So, well, it's great to be back. This is Wendy. This is Let's Talk About Love, and I hope to upload again really soon. And I love you all. Thank you so much. Signing out.